Soul Simmers, it's ThatSimminWitch here, and we are at another Makeover Monday once again. This week we have George, I'm going to say Cahill, but could be Cahill. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I'm happy to be corrected on that. Just Cahill is the easiest for me to say, so. But we are going to also not only be making over him, we're making over his house, like when I did Salim, because he is a single sim, plus also we had an extra little friend that we added to his household. So, yeah, I think all this will help me tell the story that I want to tell about George, so I'm going to get into that real quick. The household description for George says that basically he was a pilot flying over Penelope the plane, and there was a big flash of light over Strangerville, and he ended up crashed landed in the desert, and he chose to stay living there with his wreckage of old Penelope. It says that he isn't super unfriendly, but he is suspicious of the locals, hence the paranoid trait. And yeah, he kind of keeps to himself and just gets on with his life, basically. So with my headcanon for George, he basically, when he crashed, he was ex-military, maybe very conservative, not exactly the nicest man that ever crash landed in Strangerville. But I feel like that with him living there, he's kind of gotten a little bit used to living there. He's settled in a little bit. His edges have begun to soften. So what I was thinking really with George is that the reason I gave him a little doggo friend is because he found this dog wandering around Strangerville. He adopted a dog. He brought it into his home, and that sort of began the transformation, if you like, of George from a grumpy old man to a kind of grumpy old man, but will tolerate people occasionally. So that's kind of what I was thinking, and then that with me renovating his house, that kind of builds on that to the fact that now he was feeling a bit more at home and a little bit more comfortable in his surroundings and comfortable with the people of Strangerville, that he wanted somewhere that was a little bit more homey than the naked bunker basically that he had it before. But we're mainly going to focus on first about his clothing choices. So it was really difficult for me to kind of pin down what I wanted George to be wearing. It was a bit like it was last time with Thorn Bailey. It's one of those things that I knew when I found it. And I tried a few different things and none of them were really working, but I got to the point where I felt comfortable. I kind of I did keep a lot of his sort of pilot / military clothing, simply because a lot of that was stuff that needs to be unlocked, so I didn't want to lose that from his character. But also, being the kind of man he is, I thought that he would be the kind of man to hoard it. So that's what I did for him. I got him to his most of his outfit categories actually have 3 outfits, because they'll have the 2 that I gave him plus the 3rd that he already had. It isn't every single category, but most of the main ones, like the everyday, the formal, athletics, I think, and the cold weather and the hot weather maybe. But anyway, for George, I was really struggling. I tried a few things. I obviously added some skin details to him. You saw me adding body hair to him. I also added freckles all over his body. I just kind of wanted him to look a bit older, sort of give him some more details. And then I kind of started dressing him and I couldn't quite decide, so I thought I'd go to his hair and figure out what I wanted to do with his hair. So at first I thought I was going to go for this little flicky number from Adventure Weights, the new pack. I thought that, oh, you know what, that might be nice. His hair's grown, his kind of got longer hair than what he did, but it felt a little bit too neat and a little bit too perfect. So I kind of decided to go even further with it and give him this hair that he has on at the moment. This is also an Adventure Waits hair, but I kind of liked the longer hair, with like a few plaits in it. Like he kind of like it's taking care of his hair, but it's not like too perfect. I also gave him like a longer beard because I really thought that like he would just embrace like living in like not having to deal with being in the military anymore and having to be neat and tidy and all that jazz that you have to be when you're in the military. I also, on his face, as you can see, I gave him a scar just because I thought that like he'd need a battle wound from having crash landed a plane in the middle of the desert. So that was kind of like body wise what I decided to do with him. I really love how like his hair and stuff and his beard, I really like the combination. I think that looks really, really good. So when I was picking his clothes, like once I got the hair, it kind of fell a little bit more into place with the clothes. Like I kind of wanted a tiny little bit hippie, which you probably saw with the first everyday outfit. A little bit hippie, but still like old man, still someone who is a little bit aware in the back of his mind that he was once in the military and like has that like the second thought that like things need to be practical. They can't just be like comfortable, they have to be practical, they have to be useful, they have to be smart, and things like that. So like for instance with this second outfit, this little like tucked in t-shirt, I gave him the shorts that he's wearing, or did I put him in shorts or trousers? I can't remember with this t-shirt, but whatever pants I put on him anyway, I wanted them to make sure they had extra pockets because I thought that like he would have like the combat kind of trousers, like he would want the extra pockets because he'd want to make sure that like he had everything that he needed stored away on him. So like I feel like if this was like real life and like he was allowed to have a gun, he would have a gun. But instead I did make him a fan of archery, and you will see later he does have some like archery targets to practice on. So I thought that kind of like was him defending himself without him actually needing a gun to defend himself. But yes, that's like what I was thinking for his like everyday clothes. So when it came to his formal wear, I was actually really glad that he did have already a military uniform as one of his outfits. So I was going to use the cheat to unlock it, if that hadn't have been the case, because I really wanted, like, I thought that like if he went somewhere where he really thought he had to be formal, maybe to like a wedding or like maybe even someone's funeral, that he would think that it would be appropriate to wear his uniform that he used to have from the military. So that's kind of like why I really did definitely want to keep that outfit over any of the others from what he originally had on. But when it came to me picking like the outfits that I would put him in, I wanted ones that were a tiny little bit more casual. So the first one, it is still a suit, but it's one of the suits from Life and Death, I believe, but it's one of the less like formal ones. It kind of like, I put like the brown version on. It looks like it's made of corduroy rather than like it being like a cotton suit, or like the kind of fabrics that suits are usually made of, which I think makes it feel a little bit more casual and a little less like stuffy, if you like. So that's what I was kind of thinking for that. Like I just wanted him to sort of be like formal but not too formal. I believe his second formal outfit was a little bit even more casual, just because like I feel like he kind of would have like levels of comfort of how formal he needed to be, and being someone who was in the military, who was very regimented, he's very good at like judging the kind of situation and the kind of outfits he should be wearing to certain events or to certain places. So colour scheme wise, I kept his colours mostly to browns, greens, beiges, those kinds of colours that are sort of like very similar to like military colours, like the colours that are in like camouflage, or the colours that they often have in their like everyday uniforms. I Where I did use like colours, I tried to use muted colours simply because like with him being older and still being very set in his ways, even though he has relaxed, I don't believe that he is ready to be strutting his stuff in like bright, vivid colours. I think that he has a set of like colours and clothes that he's like comfortable in, and he doesn't really feel the need to push those boundaries and to move into any other types of clothes or any other like colours or that kind of thing. So that's kind of what I was thinking when I was like picking like swatches and picking the styles of clothes. I kind of wanted them to still feel that kind of like little bit of like military influence, even though it's not the whole of his wardrobe like it was before with like the pilot uniform and then the like the dress uniform for the formal wear. But yeah, just sort of like touches of it, if you like, to sort of like remind him of his past. Being an elder, reminiscing is very important, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking anyway. So with his party wear, I kind of made his party wear a little bit more smart than I maybe would a lot of other men's party wear, simply because of him being that little bit older. Older people tend to dress up a little bit more than younger people, so like I thought that like he definitely would want like a shirt and maybe some nice jeans or trousers rather than just like a t-shirt or something fun that they feel comfortable in. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when I picked his party wear. It's that kind of like yeah, just that extra little bit of like formality and a little bit more dressed up than I maybe would have anyone else. But I don't know, I just really like what I've put him in. I think he looks really, really cute, and I just think that like he's quite fun, considering he's like an old man, and like I said before, I've kind of grown to love him a little bit. Not quite as much as I love Justin Delgado, but I do kind of yeah have like little soft spot for him now, when really before I made him over and before I kind of got to know him a little bit better, I kind of didn't really think of him at all. In fact, I used to always forget what his name was for a really long time. So yeah, it's been nice sort of getting to know him a little bit. I did just want to say I'm really sorry if you can hear traffic noise. Again, there's not much I can really do about the traffic noise. I can't soundproof where I live, so unfortunately sometimes there will just be traffic noise, and you may have heard some like other noises. That's probably the cats, like they're both sort of milling around. So yeah, I'm sorry about that if you have heard them being a little bit noisy, but I'm hoping that it shouldn't be too bad. I've tried as much as possible to dampen the sound of the traffic, but there's not much I can do about it. So when it came to picking George's hot weather and cold weather fits, my biggest sort of like consideration, I guess, was that he'd been in the military beforehand, so that he would probably be a bit more prepared for like extremes of weather. So he would want to make sure that he was in a position where he wasn't going to be too hot in the summer or too cold in the winter. Like, I feel like he really knows how to keep himself looked after in extremes of temperature. So that's why, like, he kind of sort of has sort of a little bit outdoorsy clothes, I guess. Like, I wanted him to be cool and have like a t-shirt on and stuff, but also, like, I don't think he would go out for a day in the heat and just take a t-shirt. Like, that's why I wanted the shirt over the top as well, because like where it cools down in the evening, like maybe he wanted to be prepared for that, or like if he was getting like sunburnt or something like that, he would want to be able to cover his skin up. So they're the kinds of things that I was thinking about when I was doing his clothes. I wanted him to be sort of pretty practical. His at home one, especially the warm weather one, is very aimed at just milling around at home. So he's got his little flip-flops on, and he's got some trousers or some shorts that were actually from the Batu expansion pack or game pack, whatever it is. And just like a little linen shirt. I just thought it would just, I don't know, kind of fit him milling around at home in the warm weather, just tending to his garden, and I don't know, maybe sunbathing like in the garden with his dog, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I was going for with his cold weather outfit. The outdoor one, I wanted him really well wrapped up, so you can see he's in this like puffer jacket. I went for camo because there was a camo option, so of course I was going to pick the camo option. And I went for like the combat style trousers again, just because like I really, really wanted him to have lots of pockets again. Like, he might want to, I don't know, have little hand warmers in his pockets to take with him just in case he gets caught somewhere and he's really, really cold, or maybe he's got like extra gloves or extra socks for if his feet get wet, things like that. Like, I can just imagine him like loading himself up before he went somewhere, even if it was just like a trip to the supermarket to get food. Like, I can imagine him like if it was like snowing and cold and the weather was freezing, he'd put on his outfit, he'd fill his pockets full of supplies just in case he gets stuck out at the supermarket and needs to take care of himself when he's not at home. But yeah, that's really what I was thinking sort of about him. And I don't know, it just kind of like makes me smile. Like, I really love picking these different things for The Sims, just like telling their stories. Like, sometimes it just like, I don't know, it makes me really happy, like putting my brain inside their body, basically trying to figure out that doesn't really work, putting like their brain inside mine, maybe. I'm not sure where I'm quite going with that, we'll just ignore that. But it just makes me really like happy figuring out like what kind of things that they would go for, and yeah, why they would pick each little item, and like if there's anything special that they should have that they're wearing, things like that. It just, I don't know, it's just storytelling. Like, I love to tell a story. But he's just having his little fashion show, and I just want to say that he is up on my gallery already. My gallery is ThatSimminWitch. I will try and link it possibly in the description, but the link doesn't always work. But if you go to my channel description, I've now put in a link tree, and one of the items on my link tree is a link to my gallery, so you should be able to find me through that. Hopefully it will work. But yeah, he's up on the gallery, and so is him with his little doggo friend. We did indeed go for a little bloodhound. He called him Rufus. When he found him, we picked him as being loyal, active, and a hunter, I believe. Just because I thought they were kind of like traits that fit with George himself, and I could see them being the kinds of traits that he would love in a dog. So for outside, he's got like this little camo harness so that when George is walking him, he's got a good hold on his dog, because big dogs especially need to like have a good hold. And then at home, he wears his little neckerchief and he's got a little collar on, because George is a responsible pet owner and has all his information on the collar. So yeah, you can see I was just testing out different. I didn't know what pose I wanted to take the photo of him in, but yes, they're on my gallery, and so is the renovated lot of the house, which I guess we shall start talking about now since it's got to that point in the video. So my process for doing like the renovation for George's bunker or Penelope, whatever you want to call it, was a little bit different to when I did Salim's apartment. Simply, one, because George has like this massive lot, so I could add as much as I wanted to it without too many problems. Not that I wanted to build like a whole mansion underground, but if there was something that I really wanted to add, I could do it quite easily. Obviously with Salim's apartment, it was a tiny little apartment that I was forced to work on like a 9x9 square, so I kind of had to be really thoughtful about how I used the space. But with George's, as you can see, one of the main things that I wanted to do, I didn't really change that much, but one of the things I did want to do was give him like a little front door kind of thing at the bottom of the stairs. So that's one of the first things I did. I changed the layout slightly, so I put a wall across, because previously when you got to the bottom of the stairs there was kind of like a little corridor and that like did a few turns to get to the main room. Instead of sort of having that waste of space, I decided to make use of the space and sort of make a main like living room, kitchen room area that was behind a nice big front door. The door I used was actually the one that looks like the back of the shipping containers from Eco Lifestyle. I wanted something that kind of looked a bit sort of like industrial, maybe something a little bit like a vault. For those of you that are Fallout fans like me, just something that kind of like sort of felt like it should be underground. So that's kind of what I went for. I did flit a lot between working on the outside of his house to working into like the inside or the underground of his house, simply because I didn't really have a plan, or too much of a plan anyway. So I kind of like got to the point where sometimes I was like, oh, let me add this before I forget. So I kind of do flick up and down a little bit between what I was doing. On this bit, I do kind of like work on his outdoor of his house for a little while, because I kind of took in the area a little bit and realised that he was quite exposed, like being right on the edge near the road there. So that's why I put this big fence up, but I didn't completely fence in his property. I just put it sort of like on some of the areas, because I wanted it to be sort of like a warning to people to stay away and to only come in if they were asked, basically. But yeah, I kept the side that was nearest like the big like cliff that he lives in. I kind of kept that free of fences. But yeah, I wanted to give him some privacy. So he's got the side near the cliff where he does his like gardening, and he's got like some bees out there, and he has things like his washing line and some wind turbines to make power, because I've decided to make old Penelope off the grid. He's got water catchers, those kinds of things, sort of like very practical things on that side. And then on the other side, where it's sort of like fenced off and a bit more private, that's where I thought I'd put like his chill out stuff. So he's got a couple of sun loungers for him and his dog, like for him and Rufus. He's got like a little fire, like bonfire. I did put like a little grill out there as well. and some like seating so he can cook out there if he wants. That's just sort of like his like fun time area. Oh, and he's got a couple of like archery targets down there as well, just to yeah, just to sort of like that's his like playtime area basically. um so in his bathroom, I didn't really change anything in his bathroom. I think I changed the colour of, or the swatch of the bath, but the only thing I did change out was the sink. I wanted the sink to look like the sort of like really ramshackle and yeah, a little bit like old and like you'd found something to use as a sink rather than this was a specific sink. I did splash out with his kitchen, and the reason I did that is because I thought that like he kind of, once he met like his dog Rufus, I felt like that he maybe thought that that would be a good time to start renovating, and he started doing the kitchen simply because he could build that with his like his hand. He's got like his woodworking table, and in my mind he built his kitchen and was like, yep, I can build this, it's cool, I can do this. And then he kind of just gave up after that. He's like, yeah, that'll do, that's enough like that's enough renovating. So he kind of like, the rest of the house is sort of like bit mismatched. Lots of furniture that like looks sort of like worn, or there are a few bits that are like ones that look like they're homemade. So there's a dresser in his bedroom that's from I think it's from Outdoor Retreat, that kind of looks like it's homemade. And the table that I use for the coffee table, I think it's the coffee table, that yeah, that's another like Outdoor Retreat one, I think. But I kind of wanted sort of a mismatched feel. Oh yeah, that's also why I put his TV on the little like from the like basement treasures kit, I think it was, that like the old TV that you can use as a table. That's why I decided to yeah, to use that for his TV stand. But yeah, I just generally wanted it to sort of like look a lot like found stuff, or stuff that he'd fixed up, or nothing. I didn't want anything to look too new. Like the kitchen that I picked was like the country kitchen, so it kind of looks like it could have been handmade, like he spent time doing that, rather than like him buying a kitchen and having it fitted. I guess probably the thing that looks the newest is the bookshelf that I put in, just because there isn't really sort of a bookshelf that kind of fitted the aesthetic that I was going for. But yeah, I just really enjoyed putting his little like telling his little stories in his little storeroom. I kept one planter downstairs in like his little storeroom. I thought that he'd be a little bit of a hoarder, maybe not quite full on prepper, but like someone who's definitely prepared just in case the worst happens. So that's like a little storeroom that's full of like bits and pieces, plus also it's got like a little planter down there, so he's got some plants growing. I did also dot some other planters around that like from the Enchanted by Nature, the ones that you can use for house plants that can have some other plants in them, like some of the ones that you can actually get harvestables from. I dotted a few of those around his house just because I thought that like that would be the kind of thing that he would want. He'd want to be able to stay in his house if it was really like really bad weather, or like he thought maybe something was going on. Like I tried to keep some of the furniture, or as much of the furniture and objects that he had in there before as well, because I quite liked the idea that he didn't get new stuff, he like reused as much as possible. So like his bed, I didn't end up changing. I was thinking of changing his bed, but I didn't. I ended up keeping his bed in the end, and like the few of the little like side tables and the little like decorations and stuff that kind of come with the bunker, I tried to keep. I did add obviously a little bed in his bedroom for Rufus, so him and Rufus have their bedroom in the same room. They can snuggle up there together. They've got a little heater up there as well, in there, not up there, in there, to keep them nice and warm when it's cold. They have a little heater in the living room area as well. Like, I got a fairly big sofa because I thought that he'd like sitting on the sofa and like really spoiling Rufus, his dog. Yeah, I don't know, little stories like that. I kept like the top secret documents that you can come and search at his house in there, and yeah, I really like how it came out. It's like just the right mix of like stuff that he's made to make his house a little bit more like homey and comfortable, but also stuff that like keeps people out and like has him prepared for any kind of thing that's gonna go wrong. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. This is on my gallery as well. I called it Penelope, and in brackets I put like Reno / redeck, I think, in there, just so that yeah, people realised it wasn't just me uploading old Penelope, because the photos are absolutely rubbish that they give you on the gallery for builds especially. I mean, they're not exactly great for The Sims, but at least you can see The Sims close up. But yeah, I gave him a little handiness table, like a little woodworking table, sorry, not a handiness table, I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I just wanted him to be able to like look as if he would have made lots of stuff in his house, or he repairs lots of stuff. I know technically you can't make that much on there, but it's not just about what you can and can't do, it's about the storytelling as well. And like I did things like in his bedroom, I put all the like the weird Strangerville posters in his bedroom, because I feel like he maybe wouldn't have put that in the main room because he'd want to keep that like secret to himself on the odd occasion that he might have someone like come over to his house. In the living room I did put a few of the big posters that like show Chestnut Ridge, because it's kind of like deserty as well, so it could be Strangerville. I just thought that like they're the kinds of things that he would sort of like to see in his space, and like what he would use to decorate his space. There is also like, for the bin for example, I used an old barrel, and in his bedroom he's got a couple of water butts, because I feel like that would be his version of like storing water, and that would be a good place for him to do it, would be in the bedroom, because he doesn't really have anywhere else for it to go. I just like little things like that that kind of all sort of start building up to tell a story. Yeah. He's got quite a big garden patch as well. Like, I put lots of dirt mounds down ready for him to garden. I think that he would want to be as self-sufficient as possible. Yeah, and he's got the little warning sign, but he has a little welcome mat and a little doggy door for Rufus, so that Rufus, if he needs to go to the toilet or whatever, can let himself out without having to disturb George. So it's kind of funny, because he's like, I want everyone to stay out, but also I want my dog to feel like it's the most loved little creature in the world. So I think it's just like really cute. I added some like spider webs as well, just because I thought that they're like, he wouldn't necessarily be able to clean in certain places due to his age, and maybe them being up a bit too high, and yeah, just I didn't want to clutter it too much. I did do some clutter, like especially in the storeroom, was more about the clutter, getting it right, and like thinking about the kinds of things that he might keep in his storeroom, just to like sort of have in there and like live off of, if you like. But yeah, I think it all works really, really well, and I'm so pleased with how it came out. But the video is nearly done now, so I'll leave you with me putting the last few bits into place, and I'm going to say dag dag, and yeah, I hope you all have an awesome day, and see you next time. Dag dag. I did actually forget to say, please could you like and subscribe. I'm really rubbish at remembering to say that. But yeah, I just wanted to add that quickly on the end. If you could like and subscribe, in my link tree I also have like links to my Instagram, so yeah, follow me on that and chat in the comments if you fancy it. But yeah, I'm gonna say dag dag for a second time, so dag dag, and I hope you all have an awesome day.